the effects of government regulation on our economy and how detrimental and destructive it can be was brought home to me in vivid reality in the 1980s. I had the opportunity to go to Russia. The communist society had, the Russian communist, or the USSR hadn't broken at the time, and I was fortunate enough to take a tour of some of the cities in Russia. And it was shocking. Here's a society where they went completely to the other end of the spectrum, where they went past socialism into communism, and they tried to, you know, the Karl Marx, from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs. And it had been this way since from 1970 to 1980. So we're talking close to 70 years of communist rule in Russia. And you went into these, what used to be magnificent cities. St. Petersburg, which was one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and it was like you had just stepped back into the depression of the United States in 1930s. We're talking about everybody in gray. There were construction sites nobody had worked on for years. There were buses that looked like they had been built in the 1940s that were still operating. The pollution was out of control. Nobody was doing anything. You know why? Because it didn't make any difference. No matter what they did, they got the same amount. The people that worked hard got the same amount of money and the same benefits and the same lifestyle as the people who didn't work hard. So if that was the situation, why would you work hard? And that's exactly what happened in that society. So if you want to look, if you want to see what can happen to the United States, you go back to communist Russia and you see what would happen. The best part about it is the three Baltic states were the first to break from Russian rule. And Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, I think, are the three of them. And we went from St. Petersburg to Estonia, and the transformation was unbelievable. 10 years before that, Estonia was a Russian-controlled, dominated communist state, and it had been free from Russian control for about 5 or 6 years, and the transformation was astounding. They had gone from being just like Stalingrad, where everybody wore gray, where nobody did a thing. In Stalingrad, you'd go into grocery stores and there'd be nothing on the shelves. There was nothing to buy. Nobody was producing anybody. You went to palaces. There was the Russian Tsar's palace outside of Stalingrad that was this gorgeous, this magnificent building, and the caretakers, I remember watching, the caretakers mowed the lawn and they left huge patches unmowed. It looked like a hodgepodge, but they didn't care because it didn't make any difference whether that lawn looked good. They were going to get paid just to be there. But then you went to Estonia, and they were reverting back to capitalism, and people were being able to get rewarded for what they did, and you could actually make a long distance phone call, which you couldn't make in St. Petersburg. The cafes were booming. The grocery stores were alive. The hardware stores were doing well. It was an enormous transformation. And those people had been given a second lease on life, and that is what we have to do in the United States. We have to give everybody in the United States a second lease on life, and there's only one way to do that, and that's to get the government out of our lives. That's to get them out of our face and transform our creeping socialist government into a truly free and open society where people can get what they earn.